I'm Jay Amalraj. I'm a CTO at Harris and Oakmark Funds. I have been working with investment data for more than 25 years, 2 decades. Gone through many versions of solving this problem. Let's talk about how are we solving it this time around. Harris, about quick introduction about my company. Our mutual fund brand name is Oakmark Funds. Harris is an investment manager out of Chicago. We manage about $99 billion in stock market and bond markets. Our parent company, InterSystems, which is a Paris-based company, manages about $1 trillion in investments. So let's talk about problem. What problem we are trying to solve? We are solving the same problem the asset management firms and other financial institutions have been trying to solve for decades. The problem is, how do you aggregate all your enterprise data from across the entire firm, including vendor applications in front office, middle office, and back office, along with many third-party data providers, publicly available data, market data, and data from all kinds of sources to support your investment process and reporting, regulatory demands. Here is the key thing. Out of how do you do this with one integrated, current, consistent, and accurate data for the entire firm? That is a problem statement. Why this problem is more acute in financial services industry is that the use of data, the people using the data, and the applications and other use cases need one single source of truth so that everybody is working from the same set of data, so that everybody is getting the same correct information at the same time. Why is that? Tons of money on the line. So if you use multiple systems, so one system has the wrong information, that's going to cause a huge financial issues. The problem is getting worse. Why is that? The number of functional specific vendor applications in use with all their own databases and data sets and various internally developed applications and the third-party external vendor sources all continue to grow exponentially. As the data volume grows and the complexity continue to increase, combining all this data set with the consistency and integrity and flexibility with minimal delays is getting more and more difficult to achieve. So the problem is not linear anymore, it's getting exponential. But we find these approaches, many firms have implemented different approaches to try to solve these challenges, including the manual methods with some level of automation, and believe it or not, throw a bunch of spreadsheets and a lot of humans behind it, and the good old data warehouse, the modern data lakes, the integration platforms, custom developments, etc. Firms spend millions and millions of dollars to solve this problem. But we find these approaches all of them have some limitations. For example, point-to-point integration between system to system relies on very hard-coded, inflexible, inefficient methods. They are not appropriate for managing all the data end-to-end. As the data requirement changes, they break. As the processes changes, they break. As the business requirement change, they break. And the lack of flexibility to allow the business to ask ad hoc questions, and to do a data discovery quickly on their own, it's very difficult. They're not built for real-time and low latency scenarios. Let's look at the next. The best way most of the financial institutions solve this problem is they throw manpower at it, what we call data clan or data cowboys. They kind of patch this thing together. You go to that guy one day, he'll pull a spreadsheet, the next day it changes. I don't think this problem is common to financial industry. It's across the board. Then came data warehouses. In 90s, about 20 years ago, it got so popular. Data warehouses and data marts are another common approach, but they really rely on a very expensive integration and ETL processes, which takes time and effort, and the ETL pipelines are so brittle, and they also become obsolete as the data changes and the business requirement changes. The data warehouses are built to answer a very predefined set of questions. If you know a report needs to be generated, it works. But for ad hoc questions, very flexible, nimble data analysis, and a very fast way of real-time analysis, it doesn't work. Here comes my favorite one, data lakes. The last 5, 6, 7 years, everybody's talking about a data lake. Everybody has a couple of them. Data lakes are another common approach we see. You can copy reams of data into data lake, and the data in the data lake maintains its original structure as you copy it. The main problem is it lacks consistency. I want to point out the 3 gauges on the right-hand side. So in order for you to use this, all of them need to be timely manner, consistency, then only you can add business value. But coming down to data lakes, the consistency is the lowest. You cannot maintain a data lake in a real time. By the way, my favorite word for that is data swamps. The lake becomes swamps now, with polluted data, I call it. Okay, here we go. So what is the answer then? My colleague Rajiv is on the audience somewhere. I couldn't locate him. So we wrote here he is. We wrote a white paper. We looked into everything possibly we can get. We looked for different approaches. Gartner and Cutter Associates, which is the Gartner for asset management industry, recommend a modern data architecture like an enterprise data fabric, and what InterSystems calls a smart data fabric. It allows us to connect and aggregate data from multiple sources into a consistent single source of truth to service a wide range of different consumers and use cases, so that everyone working from the same accurate version of the truth, which is the normalized data set. Rather than building different solutions, this is fundamentally a different approach that connects our consumers of the data, which is typically on the right-hand side. It could be our portfolio managers, traders, business users, quants, various reports going to clients, etc. And to the various data sources on the left-hand side, and eliminating the latencies and complexities usually associated with the prior approaches. Here is the thing I want to highlight. What we were looking for is the data can be ingested on demand or on a scheduled manner. It needs to have an integration, transformation, and the pipeline steps need to be automated to process the data to an integrated and consistent format. Typically what you call an ETL problem. And have a wide range of analytics, the ability to apply analytics applied to it. Good old SQL, business intelligence, predictive and prescriptive analytics, etc. All of this you wanted to do with a common metadata, a semantic layer with full lineage and with a consistent and overarching security, which is very important for us. The data analytics can be presented to our business users either through reports, interactive dashboards, or applications point to it. It could be used by our data scientists for their own use cases. It is a fundamentally a different approach compared to your data marts, data lakes, where you copy the data set and maintain it separately from your sources. This is, you pull it as you need it, persist it if you want it, but it's a real time with the accurate metadata rules you can manage in one place. So why do we pick InterSystems? We looked at many vendors. We looked at many even startups. But after evaluating a number of different vendors, we chose InterSystems technology, the IRIS platform. In a large part because it includes most of the capabilities we needed, so that we don't need to work with different data management services from different vendors, stitch together multiple things to accomplish what IRIS already offers. We make use of many different capabilities in IRIS, including the ingestion layer, the integration and validation through rules, and the reconciliation that comes with that. More importantly, we use InterSystem tool to normalize the data to really transform into a common format, and then we bolt on the analytics on top of it. So we are feeding the different consumers of data on the right-hand side with the different use cases, all from the same current accurate data. Let's talk about some of the key benefits of Smart Data Fabric. We can implement different use cases and leverage the same enterprise-wide data consistently with IRIS. One use case we are implementing is running a production, it's already in production, it's an enterprise reporting needs. So on the left-hand side, we collect data from so many vendors. We have data in Oracle, SQL Server, we have vendor-specific applications, vendors are market data, vendors are feeding through various channels. Our internal source, all the data flows through IRIS to harmonize the entire data set and execute our business rules and analytics through IRIS Adaptive Analytics to feed our business reporting and BA tools. We have automated these processes, which saves us a lot of time and effort. I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of hours. And more importantly, it reduces our latency. In some cases, we have to wait for a report on a month end. Now we could get it daily. So what was the main objective we solved with this? We created an enterprise-wide data set with our accounts, holdings, integrated with Salesforce, integrated with Bloomberg. We pull our client data, position data, trades data, performance data, and the attribution data set in one place. And not only that, we pull all of our subscription redemption from our client side. We pull everything together, normalize it. And the beauty of it is we can now serve up to multiple ways for the data consumption. Internal reporting, many Power BI dashboards, We have Python attached to it. And then in the future, we are going to use this data for client reporting, which is the hardest problem to solve for. What other use case we are planning to use is for our trade cost analysis. We have tested this. We are very impressed with the performance here. Some of the processes used to take 3 hours to run a massive data set in a SQL server. Now it is taking minutes to run it. So what is a trade cost analysis? When you trade with the brokers, you get different prices from different brokers on a different stock on a different day. So how do you really know you're getting the best price from your broker? The industry has been struggling to solve this problem for a number of years. With the huge data sets and your ability to handle data, now finally we're getting a handle on it. So when you put in an execution, meaning when you execute a trade, you get a price quotes. Now you're going to say, is the price quote themselves is accurate? So you get, let's say, 3 price quotes. Now the way we do it is we pull all the stocks that was traded at the same minute in every exchange. It's a huge, massive data set. And then you benchmark your trades against that data set to say how good my broker is. So think of that. It's constantly you are checking to see whether the quote you're getting is the right quote based on every activity in the marketplace. And then you write algo wheels to really adapt. So you're talking about a huge data set here. So finally, we are planning to roll this out in the near future. So with that, I want to thank InterSystems. So when you work with the vendors, what you notice is, one is their product. Second is the overall experience, I call it, the service, the ability to support, the ability to work with them. Those are the things I personally enjoy with the InterSystems.